Hey guys, in this video I want to talk to you about how the Latin noun system works. Now I've already told you that Latin is a fascinating language because it's what we call an inflected language. In fact, it's a highly inflected language. That simply means that the forms of the words change. More specifically, the endings of the words frequently change on Latin words. So we've already seen that in reference to verbs. We've learned our present tense endings, o, s, t, mus, tis, unt. And we've learned that every time we change the ending on our verb, we change the basic meaning of the verb by changing the subject of the verb. We can change the subject from singular to plural, we can change it from first person to second person, and so on, just by changing the ending. And by knowing those endings, we're able to look at a verb and decode it or parse it to figure out a lot of information about that verb. Well, the same thing is true of Latin nouns. They change their endings all the time. When you change a noun from singular to plural, you change its ending. We're used to that because we do that in English. We add an S or an ES to most nouns to make them plural in English. But in Latin, you don't just change the ending of a noun to make it singular or plural. You change the ending of a noun every time you change the function of the noun in the sentence. So when a Latin noun is the subject of the sentence, it will have one particular ending. When it is, for instance, the direct object of a sentence, it will have a different ending. And because we put the endings on Latin nouns, we can move those nouns around without changing their function in the sentence. We can't do that as often in English. In English, your subject comes before your direct object. Normal word order in English is always subject, verb, direct object. But in Latin, we can put the direct object after the verb or before the verb. We can move things all over the place, and we don't change the fundamental meaning of our sentence so long as we don't change the endings. So for instance, let's pretend that English were as highly inflected as Latin. Let's take, for instance, this simple sentence, and we're going to leave the articles out of this sentence since Latin doesn't have articles. Boy eats pizza. Boy eats pizza. Now in English, we know that boy is the subject of the sentence because it comes before the verb. We know that pizza is the direct object of the sentence because it comes after the verb. But suppose that we mixed up the word order, but in order to keep track of what the different nouns are doing, we invented a secret code. Perhaps we put a code on the end of the word to tell us what it's doing in the sentence. So we could put the verb at the very beginning of the sentence if we wanted to, and then we could put the direct object next as long as we had some sort of indicator that that was in fact the direct object. We'll just use the words DO for direct object. And then we could put the word boy at the end of the sentence and we'll put SN for subject noun. So because our secret code tells us that boy is the subject and that pizza is the direct object, the way that we would say this sentence in regular English would be boy eats pizza. We've rearranged the words, but we haven't changed the meaning of the sentence because we used our secret code. We used our endings. In Latin, those endings are called case endings. We're going to learn what the endings look like later on, but for now, I want you to understand the basic concept that Latin nouns tell what they're doing in a sentence by the ending that you put on them. And when you change the ending of a Latin noun, you can change its function in the sentence. You can make a noun that's the subject, the direct object, simply by changing its ending, even if you leave it where it is. That's the Latin noun code. And the better we understand that, the better we'll be able to understand the Latin noun system as we begin to learn more and more about it. I hope this video has been helpful, and I'll see you next time.